You're live.
Great day, Life Leveragers, and welcome back to another series of Life Leverage TV. So excited to be back with you. I trust your week is awesome so far. We have a lineup tonight, and I know you have pen and paper handy because if you've been tuning in for the past couple of weeks, I mean, this is like week 9. If you've been tuning in for the past couple of weeks, I am sure you have been receiving some rich content that you can implement in your life immediately. Life Leverage TV is all about real people sharing real stories with real solutions. I want to encourage every life leverager watching right now to go on over to www.virtualnetworkinglive.com because that's where you can post your comments, post your takeaways and, all of those aha moments because tonight is going to be fantastic. And we love to see your comments. We love to know who's out there watching, what your takeaways were, so that we know that we're really adding real value to your lives. It's awesome, after the hangout to go over to Virtual Networking Live and actually have the after party conversation. So tonight we have several, we have two actually speakers who will be sharing their stories tonight. I believe the young lady's name is Norva Abiona. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Norva? You must be muted. Your line must be muted. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. So is your bio up so I can tell our life leveragers a little bit about you?
Yeah, well, they did hear my bio some weeks ago because I was on a few weeks ago, but
Yes.
I could share a little bit about myself again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Life leverages, again, have pen and paper handy because you never know when you're going to hear something or see something that's going to cause a shift in your perception. When your perception changes, everything about your life changes. Welcome, Norva, to Life Leverage TV.
Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful and honored to be here. And as Dr. Atten said, my name is Norfa Abiona, and I am known as the relationship change catalyst because for me it's all about relationships. And I will just tell you a little bit about myself. Today I am really happily married. I have 3 daughters and I live in the UK. And I've been married for over 10 years, as I said, happily. However, it wasn't always like that. 20 years ago, I was married and in an abusive relationship. And after sticking out that relationship for 6 years, I finally got to the point where enough was too much and plucked up the courage to leave. But because of the extent of the abuse, I didn't feel comfortable to stay in the country, which was Trinidad, um, where I was born and grew up. So I moved to the UK, studied over here, came with my daughter at a 1 year old at the time. She's now 15 going on 16. And then, as I said, not long after coming, I came to the UK in 2000, yeah, the year 2000. I met up with my husband now, who I actually met when we were 13. And we became best friends in no time, and the relationship grew from there. After we courted for 3 years and a half, we got married. Everybody could see that we were really happy and in love with each other. However, it wasn't smooth sailing because I brought into the relationship baggage from my abusive relationship. And so, no matter how much you think that because this relationship is healthy, you may think that, well, everything would be smooth, we'll have no problems, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't that we had big stress, but a lot of times we were frustrating each other because of unmet expectations. And then I decided to develop myself some more, spend time working on Nova, the individual, Nova, the wife, educate myself some more. So I went back to school, I got my master's in management studies, and I spent time personally growing and started treating my husband as though I had everything that I wanted. And because I did that without expecting my husband to give in return, I was just doing it because I really wanted to. He, by default, started giving to me as well. And the relationship started to blossom and it took on a whole new level where, as I said, today we are like inseparable. That's me in a nutshell.
What was the last thing you said?
I said, that's me in a nutshell. That's my life.
In a nutshell. Wow, you said a lot of powerful things, and I totally remember your story from the last time you shared your story on Life Leverage TV. You know, Norva, like I said, I may have asked you this question before, but I'd like to bring it up again. You know, it doesn't matter what type of situation a person could be in, be it a man or a woman. What I want to say is, and you could, elaborate on this a little bit more. Um, every time a person finds themselves in a situation that is not favorable, it does not necessarily have to be a domestic violence situation.
Hmm.
The same dynamic is present, meaning I heard you say I had gotten to the place where as enough was too much. Elaborate more on that, because I think we all have a certain level, a
Hmm.
certain point, whereas enough becomes too much.
Yes, yeah. And that is so true. The thing is, when 3 years prior to me leaving, I thought I'd reached the enough stage, and I finally opened up and admitted to my mom. I remember sharing this before. I admitted to my mom that my husband was abusing me. And I said it in front of him, but I didn't know what the repercussions would be. So immediately I kind of took those words back and changed the topic. And then I went on to cover it up. But there comes a time when, as you say, when we're going through a difficult situation where we have to make a decision. Am I going to stay in this, or am I going to look for opportunities that are waiting for me? There are always opportunities waiting for us, ones that we could help create ourselves or ones that people would create for us. And in order for us to get the great opportunities that are there for us, we have to be willing to reach out, to push past what feels comfortable and normal, because even sitting in mess begins to feel warm and comfortable. And so I got to the point where sitting in my mess was not comfortable anymore. I was starting to get a rush, and I thought, let me make my opportunities. And that's why I took myself up. It was difficult the decision itself was difficult, and the move was difficult because I was leaving the country. I knew I was leaving family members behind, but I knew that I could make my part. And by then, Dr. Hatton, my self-esteem was very low. However, where there is a will, there is a way. And with God's help and strength, I was able to push past that low self-esteem and decide I am going to take the steps. Even though I didn't see what the future was like, I thought anything is better than sitting in this warm mess. So I came out.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm sure it took a lot of courage for you. And you mentioned, I heard you mention, Nora, you said 3 years prior to leaving. So was there a gap between the decision that you made to leave and when you actually left?
Yes, when the 3 years prior was just me opening up and admitting for the first time that I am in an abusive relationship. And then after the 3 years of me deciding it's time for me to go, it took me, I think it's about 3 months to put everything together before I leave. And so because of that, actually, I've just finished writing a book which is telling people the steps that I took and how they too can leave their abusive relationships. And in it, I say to them, you need to plan properly and give yourself 3 to 6 months so that you could get everything in place, and with that you wouldn't have to go back into the mess thinking that it's better for me to stay in it. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, Norva. I think Dr. Hatton may have frozen.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll continue speaking about it then, if you could hear me. I can't hear Dikisha either, but it's just
I'm here.
to, oh, hi, Dikisha. Yeah, it's to encourage people that sometimes we believe that when we make a decision, we have to do things immediately, but sometimes a bit of planning goes a long way. Because as I said, you don't want to fight to rush and do things, especially when it comes to leaving a difficult situation, and then find yourself feeling like the Bible talks about where the children of Israel wanted to go back into slavery. You don't want to go back into what you just came out of, because if you put yourself back in that situation, a lot of times you're setting up yourself to be treated even worse. Is Dr. Hatton back on?
No, but I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Would you like me to continue talking about it, Keisha?
Yes, sweetie. The
Yeah.
floor is yours.
Good. I'll take it away.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. Yes. Well, these things happen, and this is a good example of how even when um, difficult situations meet you, it's good to be prepared. So because I was prepared and I know my own story, it's easy to keep sharing. But I want to encourage those that are listening that you not every day is a smooth day, and but you have to identify the type of relationship that you have found yourself in. Is the relationship healthy or is the relationship toxic? If it's a healthy relationship, even though you're frustrated, a healthy relationship is one where you are not being abused, your partner loves you, but maybe you all are not seeing eye to eye, and you need to get unstuck and see how you could help bring both of you all on the same page. So there's love as the basis of that relationship. On the other hand, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, or what we call a toxic relationship, then you are being treated in a way that is devaluing you as a person, undermining you as an individual, showing you disrespect and disregard. And that could take the form of different types of abuse. So it mightn't be physical, which is the one that most people think about as abuse. It might be emotional abuse. It might just be controlling you through financial abuse, even stalking you when you go out to work. I know I've heard of a couple where after work, the guy's wife would come to meet him every day, show up at his work and embarrass him every day. That is not a healthy situation, because you're showing up your man as a little person. And so you have to identify where you're at. And if it's unhealthy, then you need to make the decision for yourself. And if you have children, for your children, do things that would be in the best interest of all of you. It's not good for your children for you to stay in an unhealthy relationship, because if you stay there, what they are being fed is things that would stay with them for the rest of their life. They might begin to think that it's okay to be abusive to somebody else, or it's okay to stay as a victim and take things and be demeaned as a person. And no parent wants that for their child. And so we need to look at the environment we find ourselves in and the environment that we are keeping our children in, and make the right decision. On
I
the
have
other
a
hand,
question.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh,
Now, you may have addressed it. How long were you in an abusive situation?
Well, the abuse started from the time I went on honeymoon. The like showing up itself as major abuse. There were some weird things happening when we were courting, and we courted for around 3 years and a half. So in total, I stayed for 9 years. But in terms of being married and identifying that this is not right, it was 6 years.
And the reason why I ask that is because if you look at the news or you read about different situation, no matter whether it's male or female, they stay in the situation, and they, even after they come to the understanding that it is abusive situation, they still stay. Why do you think that individuals, even yourself, stay in those type of situations for so long?
Well, it's a very good question, Nikisha. And for everybody, it's different. But a lot of people stay in abusive relationship because of low self-esteem. It could be because of they think that it's their religious duty to stay in it. They feel financially trapped as though they have to depend on their partner. And so it could be those things and a number of other things. But when somebody is controlling you, a lot of times, even if you identify it as abuse, because, as I said before, you begin to feel comfortable in it, you begin to think, you know what, it's better what I stay in what I know than head for the unknown. Because the unknown to some people seems more scary. Where am I going to live? How am I going to take care of myself? What would happen if I leave and he finds me? Especially if, like my ex, he was threatening to kill me. I would never leave him. Otherwise, he swear to God, he'll find me and kill me. So those sort of things plays on a victim's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they want to make the bold step, if they don't have the help, they don't, well, first they have to feel confident and be willing to share that they are in an abusive relationship and admit that this is where they're at. But if they could get the help and somebody can help them through working out a plan of how to get out, so going to home, as with myself, moving away from the situation, then that would help them greatly.
Did we lose sound?
No, I could hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There's
Yeah.
like a delay.
Okay. Okay.
Dr. Haddon? Dr. Haddon, welcome back. We can't hear you though. Now unmute. Unmute. Welcome back. Nope.
Yeah.
One more time. It looks like she has a question for you.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, I think you made a very good point, and I wanted to make sure that we touched on that for our listeners. And as we move forward with the launch of the Life Leverage series for individuals that have experienced that situation, or even maybe currently in that situation,
Mhm.
to know that there is help out there, and there is
Yes.
another alternative than staying.
Yes. 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 There is. There is. And the thing is, it's always important that you reach out for help. In saying that, I don't encourage people to just go and tell everybody, because you
Mm,
don't know how close they could be to your abuser. And
mm,
from the time your abuser hears what you're planning, what they could do to you. I'll give you a case in point. Just in January, a reporter in Trinidad who's British born, but she was living over there. She was going to leave her husband on the Monday, and on the Saturday, he killed her.
mm,
I mean, this is somebody who all of Trinidad knows because she's prevalent in the news.
mhm,
So, an abuser they're only thinking about themselves. They're no respecter of person, and they don't want to be belittled or made to feel embarrassed. So even taking your life to some of them seems better. Of course, abuse comes in different degrees. So some abusers mightn't be that narcissistic or that strong. However, we're playing with fire when we take an abuser for granted, even if it was just emotional abuse and it's been going on for a while. You don't know what could trigger them to go further. And so you need to get yourself with people who could help you. You tell one or two people, see the response you get from them, and especially professionals. Seek to get help from professional people who know what they're talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna mic check Dr. Tony Hatton real quick.
Can you hear me now, Dakisha?
Loud and clear.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what happened. My screen went blank, and I've been trying to get back in.
That's the days of technology. You have to love it. But no, Nora was sharing an awesome, awesome message, and I really think it's important for individuals to hear her story and even hear, how she was able to overcome. And that's the purpose behind the Life Leverage series. So I didn't know. It looks like you had some follow-up questions. So
yes,
I just wanted to say that I applaud you, Norva, for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yes, I did. I know I missed a lot, but you said a lot prior to our disconnect, and we talked about the gap, like you said. You say you wrote a book. What's the title of your book?
The name of the book is Time to Go: Leaving Emotional Abuse and Other Forms of Abusive Relationships.
Time to Go. I like that. I like that. How long has your book been out?
No, I'm actually putting it out. I've finished writing it, and because I'm self-publishing, putting it up on Amazon, I would say tell people at the end of the month, look out for it. I don't want to tell you, but I'm actually working on putting it out this week.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we'll be able to have access to that. There's a link or a website where we can purchase your book?
Yes, I suppose by the day that the hangout goes out, I'll be able to share that link with people.
Awesome, awesome. You share so many powerful things about, why people stay, and all of those reasons are so valid. One of the questions that I want to ask you, Norva, is, do you feel, okay, let's look at this scenario. A lot of times when we stay, and I don't mean just in a situation such as yours, like I said, it could be a job, it could be an organization, it could be, heading a committee in this group, and your time is up for that position. It could be anything, and just staying too long. Would you agree that there are different dynamics involved, and we all go through different changes, but when we do, muster up the courage, like you said, you had a plan, and muster up the courage to move on, would you look back on that and say that, man, I stayed too long, or I wish I had moved on sooner? A lot of people, a lot of times we do that, but from my understanding, and like I said, it could be any kind of scenario, that process was necessary, because you had to grow. Would you agree?
Yes, I absolutely agree. Because in the beginning, when I came out, for a short while, I said to myself, oh, things would change and my ex would change his ways and we would come back together. Well, by the time you come out and you begin to look back at what you've left, you're like, what on God's earth was I thinking? Why did I stay there? And then as I grew and developed as an individual, I looked back and I said, what did I learn from that? And one of the things that it's helped me with is to appreciate my husband so much, because he treats me nowhere near to what my ex treated me like. And I shared this before, but I'll share it again, Dr. Hatton. In 2010, 2011, I had cancer, and while I was going through my treatment, it really hit me, Nova. Thank God you came out of the relationship when you did, because I I can't even begin to imagine what I would have to deal with going through that situation. I might have felt to myself, I'd rather die. Whereas in this healthy relationship, I have something to live for. My
Mm.
husband, my children, my life. And because I've developed myself as an individual, I know that what I have to offer this world is worth me staying around for.
That's powerful. That's a powerful point that you're making there when you mention, when you encountered cancer, if you were in that particular environment, that would have probably been like the last straw.
Yes, yes,
That's
true.
an awesome, and I'm glad you shared that because I always say when there's something lost, there's always something to be found. And even and it's so funny how such a situation as yours could make the difference between throwing your hands up in the face of cancer and actually fighting to survive because
Yes,
the environment, the circumstances were different. Isn't that amazing?
yes,
Isn't that
yes,
amazing?
yes,
And I
yes,
hope you're getting this, life leverages, because this is a powerful point right here. Our associations matter. Our
yes.
environment affects our outcomes and our results. Would you agree, Norma?
100%. I mean, even me saying it now is like it's hit me again. The the place that we find ourselves in, even if we feel comfortable in the
Mm-hmm.
situation,
Mm-hmm.
and you look around and you realize the situation is not healthy, start making alternative plans. It's time to go.
You said start making, so I like that point. That's a point to ponder right there. You said start making necessary plans. So when you're in the position whereas you just wake up one day and you realize enough is more than too much and I have to go, right?
Yes,
So you said start making plans. When you're at that point, Norva, you're clueless as to the next step.
yes,
And then
yes,
you wrestle with that, like, what do I do now? Where do I even go? I don't even know
yes,
where to go, right?
yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
what would you suggest? We have life leverages listening right now. What would you suggest the next steps would be when that day that you wake up and you're like, you know what? I must find another job, or I must start my own business, or I've got to leave this organization, or I have to leave this relationship. It's done. So what would you suggest?
I would talk about thinking about two parts. So there are two parts in front of you in terms of moving forward. If you're in a situation where you feel this is you're in a dire place now, in that if I don't get out immediately, then I I, I, I really wouldn't be able to last longer mentally, physically. Sometimes you just feel that tug. I have to go today. If you feel that tug, go, because that could be the difference between life and death. That could be the difference between you being mentally sound and stable or not. However, if you want to live in a complete way where you don't feel like you have to go back to the situation at all, you wouldn't feel like you see that as your fallback place, then it's best for you to make some plans. And I say plan for 3 to 6 months, but you have to be really careful. So it's almost like you're doing a covert operation now, because you don't want to change your behavior in front of your abuser. However, you need to change your mindset. So the things that should keep you going while you're planning is that a better life is ahead of you. A better job is ahead of you. A better relationship is ahead of you. A better way of living for you and your children is waiting for you.
That's
And then you make your plans.
That's powerful. What would you like to leave with the life leveragers on tonight? You have such an amazing story, and I can't wait to hear more of it. It's just like a conversation with a friend, sitting here talking to you and hearing your story, because there's so much meat in your story and so much, that Life Leverages can apply to so many different areas of our lives. Life Leverages, if you've received anything of value from Norva's story, I would like for you to visit virtualnetworkinglive.com and post your comments there, because there are Life Leveragers who've been with us for weeks who may not have been able to join us tonight, and they will be able to get information and resources and support. You never know. Somebody's going to tune into Virtual Networking Live and see those comments and really get answers and solutions to the issues and concerns and circumstances that they're facing right now. Norva, what would you like to leave with our Life Leverages for tonight?
I would say to people that relationship is everything. It is absolutely everything, because if you're in a healthy relationship, you thrive, you're happy, your life is great. If you're in an unhealthy relationship, then you're frustrated every day. You cannot operate at your best self. And we're talking about whether it's your work relationship, your family relationship, your relationship in your social life. You need to identify if this is a healthy relationship or a toxic relationship, and then make the decision from there, which is in the best interest of you, and it would be in the best interest of the other person as well, because it will set the both of you all free.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Norva. You look amazing. You look happy.
Thank you. I am. I am very happy.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story tonight. It was so purposeful and meaningful, and I'm sure the Life Leveragers received so much value from hearing your journey. And thank you for having the courage. A lot of times, we struggle with having the courage to step out of that comfort zone. You said so many wonderful things. Life Leveragers, I hope that you just caught those golden nuggets that Norva was sharing with us tonight. Like, what's going to pull you forward is understanding clearly that you're going to be happy, that your family is going to be, your kids are going to be happy, and you're moving on to something bigger and better and greater. You'll be able to be free. That creativity, your energy might be at one level, but it can possibly be 10 levels higher than that, 10 times greater than that when you're in the right environment. You're able to blossom and grow. So thank you so much, Norva, for sharing your story tonight, and I look forward to connecting with you more. How can the Life Leveragers, stay in touch with you?
Yes, well, I'll give them two choices. You could visit my website, which is www.thewisewife.com, or look us up on Facebook. And the wisewife.com online is when you go into Facebook. If you put that in, you'll find us. I'm the one with the owl, the sexy owl. Yeah, people would see what I mean. And when it comes to the abusive relationship, if you go to www.mychoicemarriage.com, because it is a choice whether you stay or go, and that's where you'll find information about Time to Go. That's the official site.
Awesome, awesome. So Life Leverages, did you catch that? www.thewisewife.com and www.mychoicemarriage.com. Thank you so much, Norva. Have an amazing evening, and stay tuned. We're actually getting ready to share, Meredith's story tonight on Life Leverage TV.
Thank you.
Welcome to Life Leverage TV, Meredith. I'm sorry, Dakisha.
I have to say thank you personally again to Norva. I know we had talked earlier, and she's like, well, I've already shared my story. Are you sure you want me to share it again? And I just have to tell you that you told your story totally different from the first time that you said it. And I want you to understand that it had a different impact on the audience this time around. So, I say that to say that no matter how many times we share our story, you never know who's going to receive it. So, again, I say thank you for being bold enough to come back on the Life Leverage series and having the courage to share your story. That's what this platform was actually created for. So, thank you again.
Thank you for inviting me again, Dakisha. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I apologize. I will turn it back over to you, Dr. Head. And Meredith.
That's fine. And you look amazing, Dakisha.
Woo! What a 360-degree turnaround from about an hour ago. Thank you.
Welcome to Life Leverage TV, Meredith.
Thank you, Dr. Hatton. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I apologize in advance. I have a little bit of a froggy voice. I'm trying to get over a cold, so I do apologize. I may have to mute for a couple of seconds and cough, so I apologize in advance to everyone.
Oh, that's fine. I don't have a bio for you. So would you introduce yourself to Life Leveragers tonight? And Life Leveragers, you know, I trust you're taking notes. You have pen and paper handy. Stay in virtual networking live. Post your comments, your ahas, your suggestions, your questions. We would love to hear from you tonight. Meredith, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. What brings you to Life Leverage TV tonight?
Sure. So I am the founder and editor of a blog called The Empowered Mocha Patient, and I got started with that in October of 2011, and it was a result of me having been a caregiver for my mom for many, many years. Probably from the time I was about 14 or 15 years old, I became my mom's caregiver because my father had passed away when I was 11, so it was just her and I. And she had type 2 diabetes, and I'm not sure if any of you all are familiar with type 2 diabetes and what's known as a textbook diabetic, but people that have type 2 diabetes are subject to a whole bunch of other illnesses as a result of having the diabetes, like heart disease, vascular disease, kidney disease, problems with their eyes and feet, and you name it. There's a whole list of things that can go on. And so I was my mom's caregiver. She would be hospitalized for days and weeks and sometimes months at a time. And that it was a little bit traumatic for me, being a young person. And she ultimately passed away in 2008. So I decided to start the blog as a way to share with others kind of what I learned along that journey and to help others learn how to better navigate the healthcare system. And I had that idea because as African Americans, we tend to have what's known as health disparities, which is poorer outcomes with some common diseases as it relates to others. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes.
I hear you.
Oh, okay. So can you see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so as it relates to others, my screen was going black, I apologize, that's why I asked. So as it relates to, other ethnic groups, sometimes we tend to have poorer outcomes. So it was my goal to create a resource website so that people could learn more about how to advocate for themselves, or if you are a caregiver, how to advocate for your loved one, be it a family member or a friend of someone who is ill, how to be like a health buddy. I try to, sometimes people get a little bit confused about what it means to be an advocate, so I like to use the term health buddy, and a buddy is like someone that goes with your friend or family member to the doctor or the hospital to just kind of stay with them and make sure that, be observant and make sure that everything is okay. And so I used that experience, from being a young adult, I leveraged that experience to try and be helpful and benefit others.
Mm-hmm.
So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Awesome. Awesome. That's powerful. It's so funny that, not funny, but, ironic that you would mention that. I was just on a call today, talking with another health coach, and we were talking about type 2 diabetes and how, prevalent it is in our country. Let me ask you this, Meredith. There are a lot of people walking around, with that are pre-diabetic. What are some of the signs or symptoms, or are there any? How would you know that you were pre-diabetic?
There can be signs and symptoms to diabetes. So diabetes is, I guess the more textbook term for diabetic is when you have what's known as a fasting blood sugar. So that means you fasted from 8 to 12 hours prior to having your lab work done, where they would check your blood sugar level. So say if you go to the lab at 8 o'clock in the morning to get your blood drawn and your blood glucose level is greater than 125, then you would consider to be type 2, or you would consider to be diabetic. So anywhere between 100 and 125 is what's considered to be pre-diabetic in a fasting blood sugar level. Anything between 60 and 100 is considered, the number anywhere between 60 and 100 is considered a normal blood sugar level. That's where you would feel fine. A lot of times with pre-diabetics, they may not experience any symptoms at all. They may experience some mild tiredness or increased thirst. It's a few different symptoms that you may have, but you may not be symptomatic at all. But it's all about what that blood sugar level is, particularly when you're fasting. And if you go to the doctor, as you should, like once a year for a physical, they may do a battery of blood tests. And if your blood sugar seems to be a little bit elevated, they may have you come back to do a repeat or have you do a fasting blood sugar to see what that fasting blood sugar is looking like. And if it's anywhere between that 100 and 125 range, you really want to start being careful and making some changes to your diet to try to minimize the effect of you going over into type 2 diabetes.
Meredith, let me ask you this. Were you interested in this particular area prior to the experience you had with your mom, or do you feel as though that experience actually opened this up, in your space and something you desire to pursue as a result of that?
I do think that I was always interested. It's funny you should ask me. When I was a kid, I was interested. I can't remember which movie I saw. It may have been Outbreak, but I saw the people that were the virologists that were dealing with the deadly virus in the movie, and I was like, I want to be one of those people that works in the lab. I want to be a virologist at the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, and I don't know where I got that from, but that was kind of like my aspiration as a kid. But as a result of my mom being ill, it was like a natural progression, because I did ultimately go to school and I started out studying biology, and I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in medical technology, which is laboratory science. So I didn't exactly make it on to become a virologist at the CDC, but I did ended up working in the laboratory profession.
Wow.
So that knowledge base, I guess, starting out school, having biology classes and things like that, it made it much more easy for me to have a confident conversation with my mom's doctors and with the staff at the hospital. So that's how I got into really being an advocate for her and, participating in her treatment decisions.
Wow, this is really, really interesting. I see a whole underlying thread, in this conversation. I asked the question because a lot of times we experience and encounter things in our lives and we don't make the connection. We don't see it as we're supposed to pull gems from it or we're supposed to learn from it. You say you learned a lot through that process of caring for your mom when you were 14 years old. Then you talked about the movie that you watched and how interested you were in, that medical piece. And then I believe you say you took some classes, relating to medicine or the medical field. And all of that is tied together for your life's work.
Yes.
All of that was like bundled up. All of those experiences were unfolding in your life, course correcting and directing you in a certain area so that you can serve what you've learned and experienced to the world and help so many other people. Meredith, that is so similar to what I experienced, with my son. As a result of that experience that I had with his vision, it enabled me to show people how to see in life, how to get that clarity. A lot of people walking around in a fog. I'm not clear. I'm all over the place. I don't know what to do next. And then after that and things like that. So I'm listening to your story, and it's something that the life leveragers can take notice of. Go back, life leveragers. What have you been through? What have you experienced? Meredith, let me ask you this. Knowing that path and what you learned so much from your mom, what would you share with the life leveragers that they need to pay attention to in order to really get clarity on their life's work and what they're supposed to, serve to the world?
I think there's a saying that, or people use the terminology, take your mess and turn it into a message, or, really understand what has been a source of pain in your life and channel that from negative energy into something positive. How can you use that experience to benefit others? And ultimately, that's what I did, because being a caregiver and, having my mom, I was an only child, so having her be in the hospital for, weeks and sometimes months at a time was very traumatic to me, as a young adult. And it was a source of pain. It was very difficult. You know, young people, I'm in my early 20s. I want to have a social life. You know, I want to date. And, you know, at the same time, I have to make sure, you know, that my mom is doing well and that her needs are met. So it was a very difficult time. And so in order for me to put purpose, like, you know, to that experience, to put that experience into context, I had to decide how I could be helpful to other people as a result of that, because I don't think that I went through, you know, years of, you know, experiencing that without having a goal, you know, an end goal in mind.
Mm-hmm. What would you like to share, Meredith, with the Life Leveragers tonight? You know, we have Life Leveragers. I believe everybody knows somebody who's dealing with blood sugar wellness issues. If it's not them, then they know someone. It might be a coworker, it might be a church member, it might be, you know, a friend or a family member, just somebody in their space, or they may know someone who knows someone that's dealing with blood sugar wellness issues. What would you like to share with the Life Leveragers tonight, you know, to give them some first steps on how they can really bring balance in that area?
Well, actually, I want to say that what I offer on my website, the resources that I offer on my site, are not just geared towards people that are diabetic. It's actually geared towards people that have chronic illnesses, people that are hospitalized. Basically, my platform is about patient advocacy, or, you know, taking charge of your own health, the things that you can do to help you have a better outcome, or, you know, if you have a friend or family member that is not well, what you can do to help them have a better health outcome. So it's not just diabetes, but I want to share, I have 10 tips that I want to give the Life Leveragers, the listeners this evening, that they can download a free PDF if they go to my website, which is www.msquaredhealth.com/tips, TIPS. You can download a tip sheet, and it's the top 10 tips for health buddies of hospital patients. So I'll go over 3 of those really quick for things that are really imperative if you have a friend or family member that are currently hospitalized, how you can help them. And so the first thing is to stay with the patient as much as possible. A lot of times when people go into the hospital, they're not at their, you know, their thinking is not as clear as what it would normally be. They're not, you know, feeling well, because you have to be pretty sick to be in the hospital nowadays. So stay with the patient as much as possible. And I know that can be a challenge. And even if it's not just one person, maybe a couple of family members switch off and take turns to stay with them. And it's important that you do that so that you can be there to take notes. Like when the doctor comes around, you can write down like the treatment plans that they're prescribing, the tests that they want to run. It's really beneficial for the patient and their friends and family members to understand what's happening with the patient. And if you take notes, then that provides some clarity and something for you to go back and reference if you have questions. And also, you know, you can write down questions for the doctor if you have a notepad handy, or if you use something like an Evernote app. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Evernote. It's thebomb.com. You can use it right on your phone. You can use it on a tablet. But it's really helpful. You can take notes about, you know, any and everything, and that's a great way to be able to refer back to questions that you might have or tests that have been performed on the patient. And the third thing is that you ask questions. Part of having a disease process, particularly if you have a chronic disease like type 2 diabetes, you always want to understand like the current state of your disease, like where you are in that disease process, because diabetes tends to progress. And so when you first get started, you may not have any issues, but then you may end up with issues with your sight if your diabetes isn't well controlled. You can have problems with your kidneys, which could ultimately lead to dialysis. So it's important that you always stay on top of your lab results and the different indicators that your doctor might tell you that you need to monitor. It could be blood pressure, it could be a variety of things, but ask questions. Ask your doctor, you know, doc, what is it that I need to know, that I need to keep an eye out for, you know, so that my disease doesn't continue to progress, or so that it progresses as slowly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So on the tip sheet, I include those 3 things and 7 others that are really beneficial for people that are pairing up with patients that are in the hospital to help make sure that they have a good outcome.
Let me go over your website, Meredith. Did you say where the health tips was? Is that www.m as in Mary and the word squared
Yes.
health.com/tips?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome, awesome. So how can Life Leveragers stay in touch with you and learn more about what it is that you do, Meredith?
So I'm pretty active on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Meredith Hurston. It's all one word, MEredithHurston. And I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook fan page under my name as well. And you can also follow my blog. My blog is called The Empowered Mocha Patient. And I will ask Takesha to drop a link to my blog in the notes for the YouTube.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Meredith, for sharing your story today. It is very, very necessary. The work that you're doing is very, very necessary, and I'm sure that Life Leveragers received a lot of value from it. It is something that needs a lot of emphasis and needs to be put into the forefront of our minds a lot more than it is. Type 2 diabetes is very, very serious. I am a certified health coach, and I understand that what's going on in our country right now. People are struggling with their weight, they're struggling with their health, they're struggling with, their energy levels. And, when you go out your front door, everything that you can encounter in the course of a day when it comes down to eating most of it is sabotaging, so we should realize the struggle, And I'm sorry, did you say something, Meredith?
No, I was agreeing with you. Maybe a little bit of a delay, but I was agreeing with you about all the food that's available that can sabotage us.
Yes, and I'm sure you're familiar with that because of the type 2 diabetes issue. So Life Leveragers, connect with Meredith and learn a little bit more about what this type 2 diabetes situation is, and get the tips. We need these tips so we can know what to look out for and how to better manage our blood sugar wellness. Back to you.
The goal is, ultimately the goal obviously is to stay out of the hospital, but at some point we all, either ourselves or we may have family members that become hospitalized, and it's really key that you are observant, because there are so many opportunities for medical errors and mistakes to happen in the hospital. So it's so key for someone to be there with you and that you're not alone and someone is taking notes and asking questions, because that probably will help you get out of the hospital quicker and have you have a better outcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Meredith. Such an awesome Life Leverage series tonight. Back to you, Takesha.
I think it's very important, and I love what Meredith is doing. Meredith and I had the opportunity to speak on the phone outside of the Life Leverage, and I shared last week that my mom too, just like you were saying, Dr. Haddon, that we all know someone that has experienced that, an episode of diabetes, and I shared, with Meredith that my mother was in ICU with an 808 blood glucose sugar level, which she should have been a coma at 600. And so it's a life-changing and life-altering situation to have a loved one, whether it's a parent, a sibling, or even children that are hospitalized. And I think we take for granted that it could happen to us, or that it could happen to someone in our family. And to have resources like Meredith is sharing with you is priceless. So I highly recommend that you go over to her website, get the tips, because you never really can be prepared for a life-changing situation like a parent, or even losing a parent, or a parent being hospitalized, not overnight, not for 1 week, I mean for maybe even weeks or months at a time. So you have to take in consideration, our generation, we're working, we're full-time entrepreneurs, we have businesses to run. So we have our lives that still have to go on, and you have to take that in consideration when in a situation like that arises, where you have a parent that's hospitalized, or even a child that's hospitalized. You have to really prepare yourself to take on such a large responsibility. So Meredith, I tip my hat that I took off from earlier. I tip my hat off to you, and I love what you're doing. Keep pressing, keep spreading the message because it is truly necessary. It's truly needed as we continue to grow and are being put in a situation where we're having to take care of a family with members and loved ones. So
absolutely.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to make sure that we say hello at least.
At least.
Franz Conde. Hey,
hey, ladies, how you doing? Meredith. I didn't get the other young lady's name, but hey, Takesha. Hey, Doc. How you doing? Had a little technical
Franz, how are you?
today. My apologies. Had some technical difficulties, and New York traffic was not kind to me at all. But that's what it is. We press through and we make things happen anyway, right? Meredith, save me a cent, Meredith. That looks really good. I don't know what that is, Meredith. But I did catch a little bit of your story, Meredith, and I can definitely relate. I lost my dad about 3 years ago, and he was also suffering from diabetes. But what he left behind is what's so important, and the strength and the spirit. Because there's a principle that says matter can neither be created nor destroyed. So I never looked at it as him necessarily going through death. I more so looked at it as him transitioning and imparting his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to me, so that I can do the same for generations to come. And so I applaud what you're doing. I also take care of my mom, because that's one thing that he charged me with doing before he went on vacation. So. And so I applaud what you're doing, and I really respect it, and I can definitely relate directly. And like Takesha said, this generation where some of us are employees and entrepreneurs, and transitioning from employees to entrepreneurs, I've been through that. I'm an entrepreneur now, and what you come to realize is time is so critical and so important.
Yeah.
It's the most important asset that we have. And one of the reasons and impetuses that gave me the drive to become an entrepreneur was to create more time to share, not just spend, but share with my family, friends, and loved ones. And I think there's a big difference, because what you spend, you don't get back, but what you share, you always receive.
Right, there's so much freedom tied to being a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So I applaud you, Meredith. There's 1, 2. If I had a third thumb, I'd put that up 2. 2.5. So great job, Meredith, and welcome again to Life Leverage. It was great having you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll make sure that I'll get our host to share any closing comments. Today has been a totally moving Life Leverage series. We've had an opportunity to hear from Norva, which is probably about 1:00 a.m. where she is. So we just have to say thank you for hanging in there with us and coming on and sharing your story. Norva's in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. And again, thank you, Meredith, for coming on and sharing your story. The platform was created for real individuals, real people to share real stories, real situations, but also to share with you how they were able to overcome. And look at these two beautiful women that have joined us today. And after they've shared their obstacles and their, where their journey that they have come, they are simply just, they glow. They literally glow. It's just not just because they have really good lighting either. But you can tell that there is a glow, there's a healing process, and they are impacting society. They're impacting the world, and they're changing lives. And there's others out there just like them who have stories, who are looking to change lives, who are looking to make an impact, in society. So I commend you, and I say to those that may be apprehensive about sharing your story, you have to remember that sometimes that message is not for you. It's for the person that's going to be receiving it. Mm-hmm. So we can't be selfish and keep our messages, our stories, our journeys to ourselves. The purpose to go through it, just like Meredith said, is the purpose of our mess is to create a message. You can't be tested, and you won't have a testimony if you're not tested. Mm-hmm. So I say don't be selfish. Don't hold it to yourself. please share it, because you never know how it's going to change the person on the receiving end, how you can possibly change their life. You know, sometimes there are individuals who are literally on the ledge, literally at a breaking point, who are ready to give up, whether it's give up on life, give up on visions, give up on dreams, give up on opportunities. Your message could be that breaking point that stops them and makes them reconsider the decision that they're getting ready to make. So those are my closing remarks for the Life Leverage series. I'll turn it over to Dr. Haddon and Franz for any closing remarks.
Yes, awesome. Life Leveragers, I trust that you received value tonight and you have notes. I know I have notes that I've taken from both of the speakers. You can possibly sit here and hear these stories and these journeys and experiences and not have your own set of notes, because they were just dropping golden nuggets along the way. You know, journeys are a beautiful process. You know, it's twofold. It's almost like a double-edged sword. You know, Franz said one time that faith and fear are two sides of the same coin. You know, this journey that we're going through, it's so incredible. You know, it's not personal, it's preparation, because, you know, it's all intertwined. Like Meredith was sharing, you know, she was interested in, you know, the medical field, and, you know, she had this experience with her mom, and then she ended up in an environment where she's now supporting people and getting clarity in this particular area and empowering their lives so that they can, you know, balance out their wellness, you know, because that's what's going on in our country, you know, today. You know, this wellness issue. Everybody needs to get healthy, and type 2 diabetes, and want to eliminate excessive weight and things like that. And then Norva sharing her story about when enough is enough. You know, getting to the point in your life where it is enough is enough, and you're ready mentally to move on. Now you have to physically make a plan in order to manifest that change that took place internally, because what used to be comfortable is now uncomfortable, and it's time to do something different. So Life Leveragers, I trust that you've enjoyed this series. I believe this is week 9. You know, we've shared space and time together, and I'm so excited to be able to add value. Post in the virtual networking live forum, because we definitely want to know who's out there watching, what you receive, the value you receive, and how much is making a difference in your life, and something that you can use immediately. So much was shared tonight that you can implement immediately in your own life and see results. I want to also offer my free gift. I always offer the free gift. You can text, take out your cell phones. It's a free gift. You know, I'm a health coach. It talks about mindset. It talks about wellness. It's a free conference call that I hosted, and I gave it away for free. I continue to give it away for free because it was so much rich content in there and things that you can implement immediately. So if you have your cell phones, you want to text @mindset to 410-415-1771. That's text @mindset to 410-415-1771, and you'll receive that free audio that you can listen to and get that wellness information so you can implement immediately. Again, Life Leveragers, it's been awesome sharing space and time with you. Back to you, Franz.
Wow, Dr. Haddon, thank you. That was awesome. First of all, thank you for briefing me on what I missed. I paid very close attention. Norma, all the way from the UK. Wow, that is awesome. I love what you said. Enough is enough. And when enough is enough, that's when you're ready to move on. That's when you're ready to take your life to a whole nother level. That's when you're really ready to leverage your life and to become the example and no longer become someone else's excuse. And Life Leveragers, we want to thank you so much for joining us through 9 weeks of leveraging your life. And if you really took to heart the things that Dr. Haddon shared, the things that Takesha Chambers-Williams shared, the things that all of the wonderful guests that came on shared, and those of you that came on to the Elusive Exclusive Facebook group shared as well, you would see the value, and I mean pricelessness, that you could just incorporate into your life and share into the lives of others. I know that these ladies and the gentlemen that have come on have poured into me, so much so that it overflowed and became a blessing to so many others. So many people inboxed me offline and online and said, hey, is this show going to continue? Are we going to have some more things coming up? And the answer is yes, because Life Leverage needs to continue. Is that right, Takesha? Is that right? We're going to continue with this? Is that right?
Based on our viewers out there's a possibility that we will continue. We'll be back for a second season. There you go.
All right, awesome. And if you thought the first season was hot, let me tell you something. You better get ready for season numero dos, because it's going to be even better. We had Dr. Hatton here. I mean, listen, co-hosting with Dr. Hatton is a blessing in and of itself. Lakeisha, I promise you guys, somebody said, hey, how come their backgrounds look so great and you just got a wall? You know what? I hear you, Life Leveragers. I promise you, I'm going to get a real nice picture behind me. I got you. Because you're right, Lakeisha has this wonderful ensemble behind her. Dr. Hatton got the roses happening, and I just got the wall. The wall. Even the UK got a little something going on. Got the head wrap. You know, Meredith over there got a little something hanging on the wall. I just got one.
You good,
but it's all in how you look at it, Life Leveragers. See, but see, that's why I left it blank this season, because it's a canvas. It's a blank canvas, and Life Leveragers, you can paint whatever your vision is right here on this beautiful wall. All right, so. But let me tell you what I say. It has been an absolute honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to be co-hosting on Life Leverage. So, Lakeisha Williams, thank you so much for selecting me. Dr. Hatton, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing. I'm definitely going to go back and press replay and hear all that you have to offer. And Norm, I'm guessing you speak with a British accent, so I really can't wait to hear that. I did a whole episode in a British accent one time. You can evaluate that. But it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. As a matter of fact, next week, Lakeisha, if I'm not mistaken, are we going to be filming live? Is that right? Like live, like Dr. Hatton's gonna be right here.
We'll be in the building.
Like double L. So it's gonna be triple L. It's gonna be Life Leverage Live.
Yes. Get ready.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to that, and I believe the next phase of the series is going to move on to TV. So look out for that. So I am Franz Conde, and Dr. Hatton gave away free gifts. So I just definitely want to give away a free gift as well. So if you feel free to log on to my website, I'll type it into the Facebook group, which is www.condeandassociates.com. And if you go into the little section that says video, you click that, you watch that real quick, put your information in, and you will be automatically sent a free gift of your choice. So how about that? So anyway, I already got a free gift in Dr. Hatton and Lakeisha Chambers Williams, so I'm good. But I'm still going to go on to Dr. Hatton. Dr. Hatton, what was that again? What was that text message again? Go ahead, because I'm going to get something. You know. What was it? What was it? 1-800 Dr. Hatton? What was it?
Text at mindset. Text at mindset.
At mindset.
Yes, to 410.
At mindset. To what?
410.
410.
415.
415.
1771.
1771. Is that right?
Yes.
771. All right. I will be texting. I can't wait to see what pops up. Do you get like a picture of you just pops up? No? We don't get that? No. I'm excited. Life Leverage has been awesome.
All right, awesome. Well, again, no, I've said thank you. Awesome. I want to say thank you, especially to our two co-hosts, Dr. Tony Hatton and Franz Conde. Franz has definitely kept us laughing, both in the virtual green room and live on air. It has been a truly powerful 9 weeks of Life Leverage Hangouts. So we look forward to you meeting us there, whether you are in person or you meet us virtually on live from the comfort of your home. April 25th. Looks like we're going to be starting early on a Saturday morning. So I look forward to the full 30, 45-minute messages series. You get to hear all of the cast members share their story. We only gave you a 10-minute, 15-minute tease
here on the Hangout, but to actually get to hear their entire series, their entire message is going to be phenomenal. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. This is probably one of the last episodes of the Life Leverage series because we go live next week. So I'm so excited. I look forward to meeting you on the other side and in the actual live Life Leverage series. Thanks again for tuning in. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.